Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Not Funny Guys Presents Go Team Venture, and we are cruising to the end here. And once again, I'll say it again, I'm already feeling nostalgic. But here we are, halfway through season 7, and we are at episode 5, the Inamorata consequence. If you don't know the word Inamorata, it is apparently a woman from whom one is in love or has intimate relations. So I guess there is an interesting thing here. But this originally aired September 2nd, 2018, Doc Hammer. And I'm guessing the woman that you loved might be OSI in the Guild, or perhaps Jonas Sr., who knows. But this episode centers around the Guild and OSI agreeing to meet to renegotiate the terms of the Treaty of Tolerance at the ruins of the Venture compound. Hank hangs out with Dermot, who's joined the OSI. And they witness S464, our sniper, guild sniper, and Rachel or whatever her name, McManus, the OSI agent, almost having SEX. But she stops when she leaves in disgust when she notices PP on his belt. It's not what you think. Get that out of your mind, you dirty, dirty people. Dean goes to Ben's house, where he meets a model of helper that can actually speak, watching the house while Ben is away, who acknowledges that Dean has been cloned, yet addresses him as Rusty as he leaves. Dun dun dun, plot twist. The Guild and the OSI spend too much time arguing over really nitty-gritty logistics for their conditions, where Rusty is desperately trying to be the moderator and mediate the whole situation. He even snaps at them and accuses them of all being childish, forcing them to come to an agreement finally. As Dermot reports on the incident with S464 to Gathers and Dr. Mrs. the Monarch, Dean realizing, he tells both of them, Gathers and Dr. Mrs. the Monarch, and then Dean, of course, realizing very likely that his dad is also a clone, gives him a hug. So, post-credit, Dr. Mrs. the Monarch explains to Phantom Limb that PP, it's not what you thought it was, stands for Peril Partnership, a rival villain organization, meaning they have a mold in the Guild. So, rolling right along here. Apparently they're meeting on Quinquagnary, or whatever it's supposed to mean. That's supposedly a term for 50 years. So it's been 50 years now since the original signing of the treaty. And we see Brock and Rusty and all of them wearing gas masks as they go into a zone while driving a Jeep on the road. And Dean and Hank are making GTA references. They're on their way to the summit at the compound. Like I said, the Treaty of Tolerance. The original Treaty of Tolerance was signed by Jonas Sr. The second one, which occurs in this one, the separate represents the Treaty of Tolerance, is determining the proper rules of conduct between the Guild of Calamitous Intent and the OSI. So this is the 50th anniversary. They're doing it at the Venture compound. And so there's a whole series of events. I'll include the link to this along with the links to the episodes for anybody who is interested learning a little bit more about this. But basically it's the terms of how they engage with each other regularly. Dr. Mrs. the Monarch, and they're in this tent having this sort of like formal gathering, little meet and greet beforehand. And Dr. Mrs. the Monarch is giving Dean fraternity advice about where he is at school. Apparently there's one fraternity I can't remember the name of off the top of my head, but not only did his father pledge it, but his grandfather, so he should do that because he's a legacy. Shore Leave is making some points about 007 using a BB gun as a prop in a movie, which apparently is really messing with Phantom Limb and Brock. It looks like the gun that Princess Leia used in New Hope. Watch and Ward initiate the second summary. They're acting as kind of like the Bannermen, kind of like proceeders of formatting. It looks like pomp and circumstance, like you're going to a graduation. Rusty, of course, is presiding over these new proceedings. We find out, of course, Dermot has joined the OSI, takes Hank aside. They go off on their own little thing. Guild sends Phantom Limb, Dr. Mrs. the Monarch, and Red Mantle, and Dragoon are their representatives. The OSI is represented by Hunter Gatherers, Brock Samson, Corporal Snoopy, and Shore Leave. Of course, we see the Guild Sniper, which is S464. Then they go off to, they're the one they first met back in Red Means Stop in season 6, but they're going off to have a little fun together. Dean goes, like I said, to go see Ben, clone. He meets a red version of Helper, which is voiced by Rhys Darby, who most people might know from Our Flag Means Death. He's in other things too, but that's the one I know him most for. I think he's also in First Goal Wins. I think he's a friend of Taika Waititi, so they team up. And of course, there's the tense treaty negotiations, which at one point leads Rusty, when they have to put on flip-flops and a floaty because there is no pool for them to get in. Rusty quickly realizes that his father had to manage these guys like children. So, Helper Model 2, which is red, tells that he was part of a project that was meant to be robot assistance for everybody, marketing this. This was apparently a Jonas Sr. thing, but all of them got recalled. The Helper 2 we meet here is all that's left of the recall. Ben saved him, but he went, and now he's gone somewhere on a plane trip somewhere. The pool battle thing, again, super ridiculous. Just mentioned that one. Hank and Dermot are climbing a pile of clothes and jackets in the hangar when the S464 and the Rachel McManus, I think, whatever the sniper's name, come in. Helper prototype was upgraded by Ben, is another thing. Robotics, something about being robotics and organics. And this leads him into a whole like, oh no, did I say too much? And Dean's like, no, I know I'm a clone. So, but that's not the true revelation here. Hank proceeds to have some weird fantasy about him taking out the snipers. The Guild and the OSI sniper are in the hangar. That's when they have their almost sense where apparently like they seem like they're about to have intimate relations, when all of a sudden she sees the pee-pee on his belt. And it's like a whole miscommunication of who's on first kind of thing, that we will later find out means something else, not where your dirty mind went. Keep it out of the gutter just a little bit, for once. Helper 2 is super afraid. He doesn't want to go out. He stay at Ben's. They just got Netflix. He's very much afraid of being hunted, like persecuted, like some sort of witch or outcast. And of course, he thinks Dean is Rusty. And this is where I wrote, Rusty's a clone? What? I'd forgotten about this one. Negotiations, finally, the whole devolving to children. Rusty scolds them. The forced compromise. The new treaty is signed. Dermot, of course, rats out for S464 to his superiors. And Rusty gets praise for his negotiations. And, of course, that's when Dean empathizes with him and gives him a hug. So just a fun episode. And it says so much about how ridiculous all this is. But that's the point. This is the ridiculous. This is G.I. Joe, Cobra, from all those funny little jokes. I remember this was in a Twisted Toy Fair theater issue way back in the day. But like one of them takes the gun and points it down at the other G.I. Joe action figure fighting, and shoots and kills him. He's like, oh no, Bob. Like they know each other. Like it's all like play fighting. So still a fun episode though. Absolutely ridiculous and full of strange revelations. But we shall continue. But before we do that, remember, like, subscribe, do what the next slide tells you to do. All right, folks, here we go. Episode 6, The Bellicose Proxy. Someone loud and obnoxious for obvious reasons. And you will all see here that this is Augustus St. Cloud. This episode originally aired September 9th, 2018, written by Doc Hammer. So we find Dr. Mrs. the Monarch interrogating and then convinces S464 to act as a double agent for the Guild in exchange for helping him get McManus back, his OSI girl. Monarch takes part in the Little Villain, I love that, training program, where he is assigned to St. Cloud. He and 21 put in efforts to make him more menacing, which is absolutely just completely futile. Although Dr. Mrs. the Monarch illegally ends up upgrading his weapons above his level, knowing it will catch the OSI's attention. This is all part of her plot to help S464 get McManus back. It's kind of ridiculous. St. Cloud announces he is arching up Billy and Pete, who Rusty and Brock try and fail to make ready to fight him. During the fight, St. Cloud accidentally gasses them and himself with nitrous oxide, laughing gas. S464 talks to McManus when she arrives, and they reconcile. Aww. It's simple but ridiculous. Post-credit scene, we have Billy and Rusty recounting their... Billy and Pete recounting their triumph over St. Cloud, to the boys, while Brock and Rusty talking inside about how they were all just hallucinating, and then fell asleep next to St. Cloud, and Rusty asserts that he will never let them know the truth after Brock pushes him. So we start off this episode with Monarch and 21 going to Guild Strategic Operations. It looks like an old subway station. They get all kinds of acronyms, the BTC, the SOC, which apparently is where they make over people to look like other people, particularly famous people, and in this case, Dave Grohl, because everybody says yes to Dave Grohl. The HTC, the VATC, and then they eventually end up at the Guild Interrogation Hub with a conference table. I think it's the VATC is the one they mistake. That's the Vicious Animal Training Center. And there's a holographic training center. They thought they went to the holograph, the HTC, and they went to the V, and they almost get eaten alive. Watching more, they're like, oh, our mistake. They learn about the incentives to help them move up. Making money, apparently, for the guild is the big one. That's how he got moved up to a level 6 by Dean writing him that check, the Monarch. They have a mentor program, the Little Villains program, and so they're going to help St. Cloud against Pete and Billy, and they're kind of into this because it means that tangentially, or rather by proxy, they get to mess with Dr. Venture. So they go to see St. Cloud, of course, remembering he owns the X2. Monarch and 21 go to meet him there, and they're all kind of geeked out by all the stuff he's basically bought. Back at Venteg, Rusty brings donuts, but Billy is freaking out over the guild declaration he received, which is the announcement. And like, Rusty's like, this is not new. This is really pathetic and simple. Rusty calls Brock to mention that they have a level 1 threat, and Brock was like, do you want some aspirin? Because to them, this is just small potatoes. But to Billy and Pete, this is brand new stuff. You feel a little bad for them. We do see that Dr. Z bursts into the interrogation room where S464 and the Dr. and Mrs. the Monarch are having their conversation, and she's already got him playing ball, but he shows up because apparently he's gone to the wrong room and thinks he's supposed to be playing bad cop. But the parallel partnership for S464 is already giving them information, and then they have this whole weird like fantasy inside Dr. Z's head where they go out and get makeovers to help for S464 win over the OSI sniper, and it's all in Dr. Z's head, but it's very weird. And the rest, and for S464 and Dr. Mrs. the girlfriend are just looking at him strangely. Apparently, he has repressed makeover. Like he apparently wants. I'm assuming he wants to be what's his name, Tim Gunn from Project Runway. That's my assumption. 21 and Monarch are very much impressed with St. Cloud's collection. They're giving him advice. Of course, he has no special abilities, just money, which Monarch gets. Billy is getting training from Rusty and Brock on how to stay safe, which is absolutely hilarious. 21 Monarch are continuing to help St. Cloud develop his intimidation game, and so we're moving back and forth here. They end up playing a game on him later where they haze him by basically telling him they need to go get some penis. And what they mean by this, according to the Monarch, is preliminary effective new information schooling. St. Cloud starts by saying, and he says another name for recon. McCloud says, why don't you call it recount? Why do you keep calling it penis? And they get him to keep repeating it and repeating it and repeating it. A little hazing. Dr. and Mrs. the Monarch and the Guild break in. They break into the OSI files and find out about Kimberly McManus. She's babysitting level 1 arching. So they're like, oh, so they can piggyback on this same event. She'll intervene if St. Cloud's arching, and the agent can win. And then of course, their S464 can win her back by going and explaining himself to her, so they know where she'll be. Of course, St. Cloud tries to break into Billy's place, which is where his home with his mom and somewhere in New York, runs into Colonel Gentleman. Rose is there. He declares himself to be Billy's nemesis, and then Rose kicks his ass. It's absolutely hilarious. The albino apparently Billy and Pete also list their lair as Ventec Tower. So that's the second place they're going. And St. Cloud's albino ends up spelling out a threat in the sky with clouds. St. Cloud, of course, got beat up, and the Monarch shows him the new lightning rifle, which we know Dr. Mrs. the girlfriend is tampered with. Rusty knows the Monarch is involved now because of the spelling of the rap. So he goes to Enzo to help Pete and Billy get new suits and costumes, and he manages to get Enzo to give him some rentals because there's no way they can get ones done in time, which these are ridiculous outfits. So this whole event now takes place in front of Ventec Tower. Dr. and Mrs. the Monarch and S464 there. McManus is blocking off traffic to keep the area safe. And 21 and Monarch are also there watching on. Pete comes out in this ridiculous bee costume. He looks like, according to Billy, the little girl from the Blind Melon music video. Good ref. Billy looks like Diet Coke can in his outfit, which just says Delta Boy. Lightning Gun, of course, is very much overpowered. McManus intervenes. Dr. and Mrs. the Monarch steps in too. Billy gives a very heroic speech. The whole arching is an embarrassment. The gas goes off. They start laughing. Dr. and Mrs. the Monarch is trying to help S464 get back Kimberly McManus, get back together. And then, of course, that's where we basically wrap up. The Monarch steps in and all that fun stuff. And then we end up with the post-credit scenes at the end. But, again, also a fun little episode. Very much tied into the last couple ones, but it's good. So that's all for now. We'll be moving right along. Next time, we'll be looking at episode 7. A unicorn in the unicorn in captivity, and the Terminus Mandate. Those will be our next 2 episodes. So in the meantime, like, subscribe, follow along, comment. If you want to write to us, just an email. Please feel free to comment on the video. But if you want to email us, notfunnyguys.offthereels@gmail.com. If you want to be checking out our podcasts, we've got our little Saoirse Ronan run is still going on. We've covered Little Women. We've covered Hannah, and we just now are releasing Lady Bird. Next week, we're actually be moving on to the Rambo franchise. So if that's not your cup of tea, keep a lock and load for that one. And the description for all that, links are in the description below. So until next time, stay safe. Go Team Venture. Say not funny guys again.
Not funny guys again.
No, can you say not funny guys?